More than 4 in 10 Americans over 70 are taking at least 5 prescription drugs. Nearly 1 in 5 are taking more than 10. Here's the part that should stop you. Not all of those pills are still earning their place. Some of them may be quietly causing the dizziness, the fog, the tiredness you've been blaming on age. Not the ones you'd guess. By the end of this, I'll show you 7 medications that most often stay on a list out of habit long after the reason for them is gone, and the one question that tells you which of yours to ask about first. I spent years in the emergency room, and I'll tell you what, I almost never saw someone come in because they were taking too few medications, but taking too many, that I saw constantly. The fall that turned out to be a blood pressure pill doing its job a little too well, the confusion the family was sure was dementia, that cleared up in 2 days once we stopped one drug. The stomach bleed in a 78-year-old who was on 3 things that each on their own seemed perfectly reasonable. So here's the reframe I want you to hold on to for the next few minutes. This is not about whether medication is good or bad. The right pill at the right time saves lives, and I've watched it happen with my own eyes. This is about something quieter. It's about the way a medication list grows. One pill gets added for a real reason. Years pass. The reason fades, or the guidelines change, or a new doctor inherits the list and doesn't want to touch what someone else started, and the pill just stays. Nobody ever asks it to leave. Think of it like a closet you keep adding to but never clean out. Every single thing in there went in for a reason. That doesn't mean all of it still belongs. So I'm going to walk you through 7 medications that after 70 most often stay on longer than they should. I'll tell you why each one gets left on, what it can quietly cost you, and this part matters, what you should never do about it on your own. Because the goal here isn't to scare you off your medicine. The goal is to help you walk into your next appointment and ask a much better question. Let me start with the one nearly everyone your age was told to take. Number 1, a low-dose aspirin every day to prevent a heart attack. For decades, this was gospel. If you were over 60, the baby aspirin in the little orange bottle was practically a rite of passage. Your neighbor took it. Your brother took it. Your doctor probably handed it to you without a second thought. Here's the catch. In 2022, the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force, the group that decides what prevention Americans should actually get, changed its guidance. For adults 60 and older who do not already have heart disease, they now recommend against starting a daily aspirin to prevent one. The reason is simple and a little sobering. As you get older, the same aspirin that thins your blood enough to prevent a clot also thins it enough to cause bleeding in your stomach and in your brain. And past a certain age, for a lot of people, the bleeding risk quietly catches up to the benefit and then passes it. Now, I need you to hear this next part clearly. This is completely different if you have already had a heart attack, a stent, or a stroke. If that's you, aspirin may be one of the most important pills you take, and stopping it on your own can be dangerous. That decision belongs with your doctor, not with a video. But if you started a daily aspirin years ago on your own, or because it just seemed like the sensible thing to do, and you've never actually had a heart problem, that is a conversation worth having. One question: given my history, am I still someone who benefits from this? That one surprises a lot of people. The next one is probably sitting in your medicine cabinet right now. Number 2, the acid reflux pill you were supposed to take for 2 weeks and have now taken for 6 years. These are the proton pump inhibitors. Omeprazole, pantoprazole, the ones ending in prazole. They shut down acid production in the stomach, and for a real ulcer or bad reflux, they are excellent. They were designed to be taken for a short stretch, often 8 to 12 weeks, and then stopped. But here's what happens in real life. You start one for heartburn, it works. Nobody ever schedules the conversation about stopping it. And when you finally try to stop, your stomach rebounds. It actually makes extra acid for a week or two. So the heartburn comes roaring back. You think, see, I still need it. And now you're on it for life. Here's the metaphor. The acid in your stomach isn't just there to torment you. It helps you absorb things: calcium, magnesium, vitamin B12, iron. Turn it down for years, and you can quietly run low on the very minerals that keep your bones strong and your nerves working. In older adults, long-term use has been linked to a higher risk of fractures and B12 deficiency, which, by the way, can look an awful lot like memory trouble. The action here is gentle. You don't quit a PPI cold turkey. That rebound is real. You ask your doctor about stepping down slowly, maybe to a lower dose or an as-needed antacid. Plenty of people find out they didn't need the daily pill at all. What worries me is how rarely anyone offers them that off-ramp. Number 3, the little pill that helps you sleep. I want to be careful and kind here because sleep is genuinely miserable when you don't have it, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But this is one of the most important ones on the list. These are the sleeping and nerve pills: Zolpidem, which you may know as Ambien, and the benzodiazepines: lorazepam, alprazolam, diazepam, Ativan, Xanax, Valium. They work. That's the problem. They work by calming the brain down. And after 70, a calm down brain at 2 a.m. is a brain that doesn't quite catch you when your foot misses the edge of the bed. The American Geriatric Society keeps a list, it's called the Beers Criteria, of medications that are usually more dangerous than helpful in older adults. Both of these are on it. The reason is falls. A broken hip at 75 is not a small thing. I saw where those stories go, and a surprising number of them start with a pill that was only ever meant to help someone rest. Here's the hope, and it's real. These are among the most reversible items on your list. But the taper has to be slow and supervised, because stopping a benzodiazepine suddenly can be dangerous all by itself. So this is never a just stop. It's a let's make a plan. And there are ways to sleep that don't come in a bottle, ways that actually hold up better over time than people expect. That's 3. Now we get to the one that surprises people the most. And it's the one I'd most want your family to hear. Number 4, the over-the-counter one you don't even think of as a real drug. This is the big one. Look for a word: anticholinergic. You won't see it on the box, but you'll recognize the products. The nighttime pain reliever with the PM on the label. The old school allergy pill, diphenhydramine, Benadryl. The pill for an overactive bladder, oxybutynin. Some pills for dizziness or an upset stomach. A few older antidepressants. They all share a hidden property. They block a signaling chemical called acetylcholine. And acetylcholine is one of the main chemicals your brain uses to form memories. Now translate that: blocking it for one night gives you a dry mouth and a groggy morning. Blocking it a little every single day for years, that is a different thing entirely. A large study published in JAMA Internal Medicine followed thousands of older adults and found that higher cumulative use of strong anticholinergic drugs was associated with a meaningfully higher risk of developing dementia. Now, association isn't proof, and I want to be honest with you about that. But when a common over-the-counter sleep aid keeps showing up in that kind of research, it stops being something I'm willing to wave off. Think of acetylcholine as the signal on a phone line, and these drugs as static. One noisy call, no harm done. static on every call for 10 years, and you start missing words. Here's what makes this one urgent and hopeful at the same time. So much of it is over the counter. Nobody prescribed it. Nobody is tracking it, which means this is the one on today's list you have the most direct power over. If you take a PM product to sleep or a daily Benadryl for allergies, that is worth a real conversation because there is almost always a safer swap. If you do one thing after this video, let it be this. Go read the active ingredient on whatever helps you sleep or handles your allergies. If it says diphenhydramine or doxylamine, write the name down and bring it to your doctor. That's the sentence I want my own parents to hear. So send this part to yours. Number 5, the everyday painkiller in the big bottle. Ibuprofen, naproxen, Advil, Aleve, Motrin. For a headache, now and then, fine. But taken daily for months for aching knees or a bad back, these quietly lean on 3 organs at once. After 70, they can raise your blood pressure, they can irritate the stomach lining until it bleeds, and they make your kidneys work harder. The very kidneys that are already slowing down with age. Remember that number from the beginning about older Americans landing in the hospital from a bad drug reaction? Around 100,000 of those emergency hospitalizations happen every year, and a lot of them are quiet bleeds and kidney trouble from exactly this class of medicine, often bought without a prescription and taken without a second thought. The action isn't to live in pain. It's to ask which pain reliever is safest for your particular kidneys and stomach. For many older adults, plain acetaminophen Tylenol is gentler on those organs. And it's to treat a daily painkiller as a real medication that deserves a real review, not a candy dish on the kitchen counter. Number 6, the blood sugar pill that's working a little too hard. If you have type 2 diabetes, this one takes some nuance, so stay with me. There's a class of older diabetes pills, the sulfonylureas, names like glipizide and glyburide, that push your body to make more insulin. They lower your blood sugar, yes, but they can push it too low. And a low blood sugar in an 80-year-old, shaky, sweating, confused, is one of the reasons diabetes, pills, and insulin sit right near the top of the list for drug-related emergency visits. Here's the reframe, and it's one a lot of people never hear. For a healthy 50-year-old, driving blood sugar down hard makes good sense. But for a frailer person in their late 70s or 80s, chasing a perfect number can do more harm than the slightly higher one would, because the danger of a sudden low outweighs the slow benefit of a lower average. The target that's right for you at 78 may simply not be the target that was right for you at 55. The action is not to skip your diabetes medicine. Please don't. It's to ask one specific question. Given my age, is my blood sugar target still the right one for me? And is this still the safest pill to hit it? Number 7, and this one isn't a specific pill at all. It's a pattern. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's called the prescribing cascade. It works like this. You start a medication, it causes a side effect. But instead of the side effect being spotted as a side effect, it gets treated as a brand new problem with a second medication. Now you're on 2. And the second one has its own side effects. Here's a classic one I saw all the time. A blood pressure medication causes the ankles to swell. Swollen ankles look like a fluid problem, so a water pill gets added. The water pill drops your potassium and has you up all night in the bathroom. So now there's a third thing to deal with that. 3 medications, and the whole chain started with one side effect that could have been fixed by simply adjusting the first drug. Here's the metaphor. It's a slow leak under the sink. The cascade is what happens when you keep putting out buckets instead of fixing the pipe. Every bucket is reasonable. The buckets are still not the answer. This is the thread from the very start of this video. The pills that end up quietly working against each other. And the way you catch it is almost embarrassingly simple. So let me bring this all together because I don't want you to remember 7 separate things. I want you to remember one. Here's the belief I'd like to retire. Most of us carry a quiet assumption that every pill on the list is there because we need it, that more medication means more protection. Before 70, that's often true. After 70, something flips. The list itself becomes one of the biggest risks to your health, and it's the one risk almost no one stops to check. More isn't automatically safer anymore. Sometimes more is just more. Now, I know exactly what some of you are thinking. My doctor prescribed these. Who am I to question it? You're not questioning your doctor. You're doing the one thing a rush system rarely has time to do for you. You're asking whether the list still fits the person. Good doctors welcome that question. One of the best appointments I can remember was the one where a woman set 11 bottles on my desk and asked me to defend each one at a time. So here is your actual next step, and it costs you almost nothing. 2 things. First, do a brown bag review. Take a paper bag, put every single thing you take into it. The prescriptions, the over-the-counter sleep aid, the allergy pill, the supplements, all of it. Bring the whole bag to your next appointment. For each bottle, you and your doctor ask 3 questions. What is this for? Is it still doing that? And is it still worth it? And while you're at it, write the reason and the start date on each bottle at home first. You'll be surprised how many you can't answer. Second, if you're on Medicare, you have a free annual wellness visit every year. No copay, no deductible, and almost nobody uses it for this. A medication review is exactly what it's for. Call the office, schedule it, and bring the bag. And here's the triage, so you know where the lines are. Noticing a pill you're not sure about is a write it down, bring it to your next visit situation, not an emergency. New dizziness, new confusion, a fall, black or bloody stools, or low blood sugars that keep happening. That's a call your doctor this week situation. And if it needs looking at today but isn't life-threatening, that's what urgent care is for. Faster and far cheaper than the ER. And the sudden stuff, a serious bleed, fainting, chest pain, or the signs of a stroke, that's 911, and you don't drive yourself. The ambulance starts helping you on the way. But here is the line underneath all of it. You do not stop any of these on your own. Some medications, blood thinners, heart rhythm drugs, seizure medicines, steroids, and the sleep and nerve pills we talked about can be genuinely dangerous to stop suddenly. The move is never to quit. The move is to ask. You don't need to fix your whole list this week. You're not looking for perfection. You're looking for one pill that no longer earns its place. Find that one. Ask the one question I promised you at the start. Is this still doing what it was started for? And is it still worth it? That's the question that quietly hands you back some control. The right medications, taken for the right reasons, are one of the best things modern medicine has. You deserve a list that's actually still working for the person you are today, not the person you were 20 years ago. So this week, go pack the bag,